not the same since they lost the cat.
Well-being. It's Cito's world.
She's waiting.
Cito! Cito!
What if you and your best friend went on a trip but ended up trapped in a remote lagoon with one of the most dreadful aquatic creatures, an orca? The question remained, would the duo survive or would they fall prey to a vengeful orca? Today's movie is based on such a phenomenon. The movie began with a man's voice narrating that orcas were the top predators of the ocean, growing up to 32 feet long and weighing nearly 5 tons. They hunted everything from fish to whales. In the world of orcas, an orca named Cito had been a superstar for 20 years, engaging with humans and living a stress-free life. Chelsea told Dana that Cito acted strangely after losing her calf. Chelsea went to the fish tank and called out to Cito, but she did not respond. Growing restless, Chelsea descended into the tank without caring for her life. Soon Cito surfaced and began circling Chelsea, who remained unaware of the creature's violent intentions. Moments later, Chelsea lost her life in a horrific manner. The scene then shifted to a young and beautiful waitress named Maddie, who cleaned a table at a restaurant. Not long after, Chad arrived and surprised her with his sudden presence. Chad had a crush on Maddie, but lacked the courage to confess his feelings. Meanwhile, a truck pulled up outside the restaurant. Inside, Maddie and Chad remained completely unaware. Chad gifted Maddie a priceless locket. Outside, a man stepped out of the truck holding a gun and headed toward the restaurant. Maddie wore the locket and looked into Chad's eyes with love, not realizing that the man had already sneaked inside. The man held them at gunpoint and ordered Maddie to open the cash register and give him all the money. Panicked, Maddie obeyed and quickly placed the money into his bag. The armed man then demanded the locket she was wearing. With no choice, Maddie began removing it. At that moment, Chad lunged at the robber and knocked him down. However, the burglar overpowered Chad and struck him with the butt of the gun, leaving him badly injured. Maddie rushed to save Chad, and he seized the opportunity to shoot the burglar. The wounded man fled the restaurant, leaving the locket behind. Chad picked it up and handed it back to Maddie, unaware that death was rapidly approaching him. 1 year later, Maddie still struggled to recover from the traumatic incident that claimed Chad's life. One day, someone knocked on her door. Maddie opened it and found her best friend Trish standing outside. Trish expressed her disappointment over Maddie ignoring her calls for an entire year. Maddie explained that she had been busy. Trish revealed that she had booked an adventure trip for them. Maddie initially showed her reluctance, but after repeated insistence, she agreed. They flew to the Andaman Sea Islands in Thailand and enjoyed their time together. Trish approached a young man named Josh from the Orca Park to ask for paddleboarding lessons. Josh explained that the nearby lagoon was a dumping site and that orcas were often spotted there. He added that an orca named Cito had lost her calf 20 years earlier and had lived a sorrowful life ever since. Josh believed that Cito received the scar on her face while trying to save her baby, suggesting that the calf was stolen rather than dead. And just when everything seemed peaceful, the true nightmare was about to begin. Josh, Maddie, and Trish sneaked into the Orca Park at night. Inside the park, they spotted a security guard, so they immediately hid behind a ticket counter and waited for him to leave. Soon, Trish and Josh got caught up in the heat of the moment, leaving Maddie alone. Maddie went by herself to explore the park in search of Cito. She discovered Cito inside a fish tank and noticed a deep scar across her face. Meanwhile, a cleaner found trash floating in the tank and tried to remove it, unaware that he was about to become Cito's next meal. In a sudden attack, Cito killed him. Panicked, Maddie rushed back to Trish and Josh, and the three of them fled toward the exit. Later, Maddie, Trish, and Josh enjoyed jet skiing in the lagoon. Suddenly, something struck the jet ski, causing it to capsize. Josh and Trish fell into the water, while Maddie was relaxing on a lifeboat shaped like a pizza slice. Terrified, Trish desperately swam toward the lifeboat, leaving Josh behind. Maddie asked what had hit them, but Josh said he had no idea. As Josh struggled to get back onto the jet ski, an orca suddenly attacked it, throwing him back into the water. Maddie and Trish panicked and screamed at Josh to hurry toward the lifeboat, but things did not go as they expected. In the end, Cito killed Josh exactly the way she was meant to. Maddie and Trish found themselves trapped in the lagoon. Maddie suggests reaching the closest rock to find a way out. They began to row the lifeboat, intending to reach the rock, but just then their blood ran cold when they spotted an orca, which was no other than Cito, swimming past their lifeboat and splattering Josh's blood on them. Maddie and Trish were filled with panic and did their level best to reach the rock, but Cito didn't allow them to do it, taking the lifeboat far away from the rock. She surfaced and locked her eyes with Maddie before diving back into the water. Maddie suggested that they must jump into the water or they would become Cito's next meal. Before Cito could turn the lifeboat upside down, Maddie and Trish jumped into the water just in time. Maddie unfortunately lagged behind because of recovering her hearing aid batteries, so she got back to the lifeboat. Trish had a close call, but she somehow made it to the rock. Maddie threw her bag toward Trish and asked her to collect it. Soon after, Cito began to pull the lifeboat to the center of the lagoon, freezing Maddie in fear. With no choice, Maddie jumped off and barely made it to the rock with the help of Trish. Trish suffered a gash in the leg, so Maddie put off her top, tore it apart, and dressed Trish's wound with it in order to stop bleeding. Trish asked Maddie how Cito arrived there when she saw Cito in her tank last night. Maddie said she might have been dumped into the lagoon. Maddie was baffled at Cito's relentless behavior and pointed out that orcas had never attacked and killed a human in the wild. The only time they had ever done so was when they had been trapped in captivity. Maddie jumped to a conclusion, saying that Cito thought she was still trapped in captivity and they were trapped there with her. With no option left, Maddie and Trish sat back and waited for a miracle to happen, as there was no one around as far as they could see. They both felt thirsty and hungry. Trish took a sandwich bag and inflated it with her breath and began to wait for the waste to turn into vapor so they could quench their thirst. Later, they screamed for help, but their efforts went down the drain when they were left unheard. Dejection and hopelessness took over both the stranded girls. Moments later, they heard a boat in the distance and desperately screamed to draw their attention, but the boatman couldn't hear them and continued to sail, leaving Maddie and Trish in utter disappointment. Meanwhile, Cito circled the rock as if she was giggling at them. Trish asked Maddie why Cito was doing that to them. Maddie replied that they had been trapped there for a day, but Cito had been trapped in a fish tank for nearly 20 years. This captivity filled her with rage against humans. In the meantime, the severed arm of Josh drifted to the rock. Maddie reached for the arm and grabbed a tiny flashlight from it. It grew dark while waiting for any help, but no one came to rescue them. Trish told Maddie that she had to tell her something, but Maddie was distracted by the sandwich bag, in which the oxygen had turned into some droplets of water. Maddie drank some drops from the bag, and the rest of the water was drunk by Trish. Maddie and Trish were starving, so they decided to catch something from the lagoon to satisfy their hunger. Maddie bravely dove into the water, caught an oyster, and got pulled out by Trish just before getting devoured by the vengeful Cito. Maddie broke Chad's cremation box to break the oyster's shell. Trish broke open the oyster and ate it with Maddie in great happiness. Trish told Maddie that Chad loved her more than anything, and Maddie smiled at it, signaling that she always knew it. Trish asked Maddie to forgive her for taking her to that island. Consequently, she got stuck there with her. Trish said that she was not her best friend because a best friend would never have done what she did to her. Maddie asked what she was talking about. Then Trish dropped a bombshell on Maddie, revealing that she needed money for her placement at Brown, and Maddie was never supposed to be at the restaurant with a Chad. She was supposed to be studying at home. She had sent the man to rob the restaurant, but he wasn't supposed to hurt them. Trish said she woke up every day with regret and thought if she could go back in time and fix everything. Maddie was heartbroken and speechless at the same time, unable to believe that her own best friend did that to her. Trish tried to justify herself, but Maddie pushed her back in anger and told her that she deserved every second of guilt. Trish told Maddie that they would not last much longer if they stayed on the rock, suggesting they should dive in different directions to distract Cito. She would make it to the sand to find a way out. Maddie didn't answer her, making her feel like she was left unanswered. Filled with regret, Trish descended into the water, not realizing that Maddie had worn hearing aids, which was why she couldn't hear her. Maddie turned around and found Trish in the lagoon. She immediately called her to get back to the rock, but it was too late. Trish refused to hear her, saying she was going to make it right. Meanwhile, Cito sensed Trish's presence in the water and swam after her to hunt her down. To save Trish, Maddie jumped into the water, managing to distract Cito. Maddie nearly had her leg bitten off by Cito, but she made it to the next rock. Meanwhile, Trish reached the land. They both looked at each other and smiled. At that point of time, a helicopter happened to fly past the island, but the pilot also failed to spot the duo of ladies below and flew away. Just then, Sato attacked Trish from behind and dragged her back into the water. However, Trish fought back and barely crawled up to the sand. Before succumbing to the dreadful attack, Trish drew a SOS message on the sand so Maddie could be rescued if anyone spotted the message. Poor Maddie sat on a rock, shuddering with fear and cold. It rained heavily, and she tried to quench her thirst by catching raindrops in her mouth. Meanwhile, Cito approached the rock and startled Maddie. The orca tried to communicate with her, and although Maddie could not understand her language, she sensed Cito's pain of being trapped in the lagoon. Gathering her courage, Maddie made up her mind to fight. She climbed down into the water and somehow managed to cross the lagoon. She reached the shore and found Trish's lifeless body lying there. With a heavy heart, Maddie buried Trish and bid her a final farewell. Afterward, Maddie returned to the water and found the jet ski. Nearby, she discovered Trish's bag, which contained a long, sharp object and her cell phone. Maddie dialed the emergency number and desperately tried to call for help. Soon, Cito began circling her, filling Maddie with terror. To escape, Maddie dove deep into the lagoon and found the same long, sharp object she had earlier thrown away, believing it to be useless. Just as Cito lunged toward her, Maddie struck the orca with the object, plunging it into the creature's lower jaw and forcing it to retreat. After the brutal encounter, Maddie was completely exhausted and floated motionless on the surface of the water. Moments later, after receiving the SOS signal, a rescue team arrived in a helicopter and rescued Maddie just in time. You are watching a recap of the movie Killer Whale 2026. Thank you for watching and enjoy our other videos as well. Have a nice day.